So I wanted to wait till CinemaCon was over this year to kind of give my own thoughts through individual videos on some of the presentations that happened. And I watched what others had to say. Like I watched Chris from 3C Films, give his take on it. And he basically, in his own way, basically felt like it was kind of like a night and day kind of situation with CinemaCon. Like the first few presentations, were decent, but not on par on what they could be. But then out came the last, couple of studios, and they just basically, knocked it out of the park. So let's start with Disney. Disney, of course, has a lot of stuff coming out this year. They have Inside Out 2, which comes out in a few months. They have Mufasa the Lion King, which is a prequel to The Lion King, the live action one, and I guess the animated one. So they have they talked about those and everything. They actually showed, from what Chris said, they showed about 35 minutes of Inside Out 2 to the attendees there at CinemaCon. I don't know if they showed a trailer or anything for Mufasa the Lion King. I don't think they did. They did have Kevin Feige come out and talk about Thunderbolts, and basically said that Thunderbolts is going to have an asterisk next to it, and that basically when it gets released, that's when we'll get the full official title, the real full official title of what it's going to be, called instead of Thunderbolts. So in other words, the asterisk is kind of like a holding, I guess you could say a holding title, if you will, a working title. They did show 15 minutes of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I'm looking forward to seeing because I saw War of the Planet of the Apes. I did. I saw that. In fact, I have all three of the Planet of the Apes right here. I have all of them. And I even have the original Planet of the Apes, if I can find it here. I have the original one right there. The original classics from the 60s and 70s. And I think I have the other one that they did before, these three came out. But yeah, basically, I'm looking forward to that. And they said the footage they were given, the 15 minutes of footage they were given, looks tremendous. Probably the best CGI rendering for the apes, if you will, ever. Then they said they showed a couple of minutes of Captain America, the New World Order, I think that's what it's called. And basically, it's described, because they did put some descriptions out as well. It's described that basically Thunderbolt Ross, who is obviously going to be in Thunderbolts, there's no doubt, but Thunderbolt Ross, played by Harrison Ford this time, is the president. He is the president of the United States. But he may not be on the up and up when it comes to superheroes like Captain America, which is Sam Wilson's character, and others, including the Winter Soldier and all that, and the new Falcon as well. And the premise they gave for it, I'm not going to say too much of it here, but they basically said the premise looks really good, sounds really intriguing, and it's going to make you want to go and see this when it comes out, along with Thunderbolts, because obviously it's going to lead into Thunderbolts next year. And both movies are scheduled for 2025 next year, and I think they do have another Marvel movie they're working on as well. I can't think of it right now that they have planned for 2025. So you're looking at potentially 2, maybe 3 MCU films coming out next year to help build up to the next Avengers film, whenever that will take place, which originally was scheduled for 2025. I'm assuming now it's going to be like 2026, 2027, almost to the end of the decade, I can assume. But yeah, they gave a good presentation. They knocked it out of the park. They were the last ones. And a lot of people have said they really brought their A game. So I appreciate that, being someone that grew up on Disney. And, I can't wait to see, what they bring to the table. If you're a fan of the Alien franchise, they did show a trailer, some clips, if you will, footage from Alien Romulus. And basically, from the description, it is getting back to what brought the Alien franchise to the dance when it first came out, starring Sigourney Weaver. and that is it's getting back to its, bloody horror roots, if you will. In other words, it's going to be very graphically, bloody and violent, in its tone. So I don't watch those kind of movies because, I'm born again Christian, and, I live in, the house of a prayer warrior, if you will. So yeah, ain't no way I'd watch that kind of movie even if I had the opportunity. But yeah, that's, they basically said that that's gone back to what it should be. And really, that's really about it. They didn't talk about any animated feature that's going to be, next in line, after Wish. I think they do have something planned for next year, but that's about it. But overall, Disney, from what I just told you, and I'll link you to other people here in these videos because these are all going to be separate ones. Disney basically knocked it out of the park. They did a tremendous job. And I hope they have a good rest of 2024 because some of this was for this year, like Inside Out 2 and Mufasa. And going into next year, like, with the MCU, it sounds like they're doing a good job and trying to build some momentum for that as we head into that next chapter of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially if it's going to be the multiverse Secret Wars, I should say, saga. They did announce too, I think they announced this alongside it, they did announce that there is going to be an Inside Out show on Disney Plus coming this year to coincide with the movie. So that's going to be cool. I don't know when it'll be released. I'm assuming it should be released after the film. So that way, what we see in the series takes place after. And that would be cool to see. They did talk about Moana 2. Actually, they do have a movie. Correct myself. They have Moana 2 coming out. So that's after Wish. They had The Rock come out, do a dance, Samoan dance, I think. And so, yeah, they promoted that. And from what they saw with that, because they did get footage on that, they said that looked really good, too. They thought that looked great. And so, yeah, I got to correct myself there. They do have a animated film coming out this year that coincides after, that takes place after Wish, from the film chronological, release dates. And it will be Moana 2. It will be Moana 2. So, yeah. I'm assuming they also talked a little bit about the live-action remake coming next year as well. But that's really all I can say about Disney and everything. Can't wait to see what they have to bring to the table. And I will talk to you later on the next video. My phone's ringing, and I am out. Hey guys. So now let's talk about Lionsgate. And Lionsgate was one of the presentations that people felt was kind of mixed. The things that they did show, of course, are, according to Variety, the notable ones they talked about were Michael, which is the Michael Jackson biography film, and a lot of people that saw the footage that was given for that were blown away. They loved it. So that kind of tells me that when that comes out next year, you're looking at a Best Picture nomination, in my opinion, for 2026. They showed footage from Ballerina, which is the John Wick spinoff. They showed extended footage for the new Crow film, which has FKA Twigs as one of the leads. And then they showed one for the best Christmas pageant ever. I don't know what that one is. It says here, the best Christmas pageant ever, an adaptation of the beloved book about a family from the wrong side of the tracks that takes leading roles in their church's nativity play. Has all the markings of a family-friendly, faith-based hit. That's what it says. It says the best Christmas pageant ever, an adaptation of the beloved book about a family from the wrong side of the tracks that takes leading roles in their church's nativity play, has all the markings of a family-friendly, faith-based hit. So that's what they showed there. And then, like I said, they showed basically footage from Michael, and it basically states, from what people have been reporting, they showed, enough footage and gave enough of a synopsis that it sounds like they're going to cover a lot. Because this movie is being done by the Jackson family estate and at the Jackson family period, and that basically, the nephew of Michael is playing Michael in the film, and basically, again, they said that it's going to show a lot of basically what made Michael who he is as part of the Jackson Five on his own, made him the king of pop, if you will. But also, it's going to dive into a lot of the controversies that surrounded him. And again, from what they're describing, it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be a Best Picture nominee for 2026. Now, they did show some other stuff. Flight Risk with Mark Wahlberg being playing a psycho mob enforcer. Some people were cool with that. They liked the idea of a movie on a plane and everything. They gave a description of what that is. He's a mob guy that's going after the person on the plane that's being transported. So that sounds interesting. They got The Killing Game with Dave Bautista, who's an assassin and everything. But what it is that he's basically being told by doctors that he's developed this disease and that he only has a certain amount of time to live. But unfortunately, he finds out that he's been given misinformation, and now he's got to basically fight off the assassins that he's hired to take him out because he didn't want to live with this disease that he finds out he doesn't really have. So, that's an interesting premise. Excuse me. They did show footage from Borderlands, I should say, the adaptation of the game series, and people liked it. They thought it was fun. So yeah, they showed some more footage and everything, extended trailer on that. Thought it was fun. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, Lionsgate, according to some people, was one of the studios at CinemaCon that didn't do so well, if you will. They did all right, but not so well. Some of what they showed was good. Some of what they didn't. Some of what they showed was good. Some of what I'm trying to find the right word to say here. Some of what they showed was good. Some of what they showed wasn't good. But yeah, they had their presence, but obviously it wasn't like on par as to what they could be and everything down the line. Anyway though, I think Lionsgate might surprise us. They might surprise us with what they bring to the table next year in 2025 and going into 2026 and for this year as well. So 2024, 2026, and 2025, those three, this year and the next 2 years, I think are going to be big years for Lionsgate. So Paramount shared the final day with Disney, and they came out before Disney. And boy, along with Disney, did they blow everybody's minds with what they announced. Now, they did talk about the sequel to A Quiet Place, or the prequel, I think that's what it is. I think it's a prequel or sequel. Let me check Variety here for a second. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's a prequel, Quiet Place Day 1. They showed footage for that, or at least an extended trailer on that. They showed extended footage in a trailer, I believe, for Gladiator 2, which I'm looking forward to because I saw the first Gladiator. I own the first Gladiator movie on DVD and Blu-ray. I want to get the 4K on it. But yeah, I loved the Gladiator movie when I first saw it. That came out when I was in Kansas. It was one of the first movies I saw when I moved out on my own in 2000, 2001. And I enjoyed it. I truly enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for this sequel. And apparently this is going to be one of those films that when it gets released later this year, will be released just in time for a nomination consideration at the Golden Globes, Screen Actors Guild, Oscars, Academy Award, if you will, People's Choice, you name it. It's going to be in that category. They did show footage and release a new trailer, not just to people at CinemaCon, but to the public, of the Ryan Reynolds family comedy If, and it looks good. Looks really nice, really cute, if you will. Definitely a family-friendly film, as far as I know. It's going to probably have a PG rating, maybe PG-13, but more along the lines of PG, I think. because of the way it's being presented. The premise, I think, is great. I think it's nice. I think it's cute and adorable and everything. So that's going to be something to look into. I know my mom would love to see that film because that's the kind of film she'd be into and everything. Then, of course, they showed footage from Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And they showed basically Jim Carrey now basically getting what he's been wanting. That's getting to be Fat Eggman. He's getting into the fat suit, if you will. He's back with Agent Stone, and he's teaming with Shadow and everything. They did not tell us who the voice of Shadow is going to be. Eventually, we will find out. I'm assuming they're saving that for. I'm assuming this, guys. They are saving that for ComicCon. That's what they're saving it for. There's a lot of things they showed here at CinemaCon. They're like, yeah, we'll show you this, but we're not going to show you everything until SDCC. So I've got a feeling SDCC 2024 via Paramount, you guys are going to be in for a huge amount of stuff that was only teased here at CinemaCon. Because, you know, like I said, they showed that. Apparently they showed him battling out with Sonic on his motorcycle. He has he's going to be using his motorcycle apparently here, or at least somebody's motorcycle. That's going to be awesome. And, you know, overall, from what they said, you know, this has really got the markings of being a great addition to the Sonic franchise, especially if they're planning to make this into a cinematic universe, if you will, starting in a couple of weeks with the Knuckles TV series, which does bleed into Sonic 3. So that's great to hear. That's great to read about and everything. Then they talked about Transformers 1. They showed footage for that and a trailer. And apparently some were making it as a comparison to being more Minions-like, more of a family-friendly Minions-like comedy. Or family comedy. I don't know if that's true. Maybe that's just how some people interpreted it from what they saw. But it basically talks about the origins of how Optimus Prime as Orion Pax and Megatron as D-16 were like brothers. They were best friends. And basically they go on this journey that Megatron wants to go on and everything. He wants to go on because obviously they're being, you know, held beneath the surface of Cybertron. He wants to know, hey, why can't we go up there? And Optimus, being his friend, Orion Pax, I should say, being his friend, you know, is kind of like against it, but he wants to support him. So they go on this journey to the surface, apparently, that they're, I guess, forbidden from going to on Cybertron. And this journey is going to turn them into the rivals of Megatron and Optimus Prime that we know of. So I'm looking forward to it. I think the footage maybe that they were given at CinemaCon is not going to totally match up with what the rest of the film is going to be. Because you don't tell an origin story like this and you make it into a comedy, if you will. You don't do that. I think what they saw kind of gave them that vibe, because you got to have comedic moments in there. But to me, I think, you know, there's going to be more to it. I think there's going to be more than what they were shown. And I think when we get the trailer and everything later on this year, I'm assuming within the next month or two, I've got a feeling we're going to see more than just what they were shown, and mainly, basically, we'll probably get a better idea of what we're going to be in store for, come September, October, when this film gets released. They did talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem 2. They didn't show footage or a teaser, but they did talk about it. But they did talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in a way that fans have been waiting for a long time. They talked about the fact that The Last Ronin, the best-selling graphic novel, multi-part comic, series that IDW did based on a story that Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird wanted to do long ago but couldn't. Now Kevin Eastman, along with those at IDW, did finally do it. Well, they made the announcement that The Last Ronin is getting a live-action adaptation, and it's going to be R-rated. That's right. We're going to have an R-rated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film. They're not too sure just yet if whether or not the turtle, who is the last Ronin, who, by the way, bit of spoilers, The Last Ronin turtle is Michelangelo. Bit of spoilers there. They're not sure whether or not that'll be a live-action costume via Jim Henson's Creature Shop, or that will be CGI. We'll have to see. But yeah, this is exciting news because, you know, everybody's had this assumption that since Nickelodeon bought the TMNT franchise, you know, and them being basically family friendly, that there'd be no way they would go this route. Well, we as fans and those that thought this got proven wrong, because that's exactly what we're getting. That's exactly what we're getting, you know, going into the next several years. Now, from what I've heard and from what others have reported, it feels like what they want to try to do is get this out by at least 2027, maybe 2026. Some are looking at the fact that if it's going to be R-rated, because the story itself is very gritty, very dark, very bloody and violent, and it's got people that have been known to work, you know, on projects that involve a lot of violence and, you know, mature in darkness and everything. You know, it's, you know, people are wondering if maybe the budget's not going to be so high for it and everything because it's going to be like that. And if it's not, that's fine too. You know, you just want to focus on the story and the character and just do what you got to do to, you know, bring it to life and, you know, give us basically within the span of, I would assume, 2 hours or more, the whole 5-part series, if you will, the whole 5-part miniseries. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what they got planned. More details obviously will come out in the months and years to come leading up to it. But this is great news. This is great news. And this definitely helped Paramount knock things out of the park. They did talk about the Star Trek movies they're working on and everything. So yeah, they had a great presentation along with Disney on the last day. I recommend looking up into more of the information. And into okay, so Universal was also at CinemaCon, and some of the notable ones they talked about, well, of course, Despicable Me 4, which comes out, I think, within a month or two. Wicked, which basically was the theme for Universal's presentation, because they had the seat sticked out with some white roses, or flowers, whatever they are, and some passes that said Wicked on it. And Twisters, which is, I'm assuming, a pseudo sequel, reboot, whatever you want to call it, of the original. And yeah, they did all right. I mean, they talked about The Wolfman as well, which is a modern take on the classic Universal horror movie monsters, if you will. Horror film movie monsters, if you will. They talked about that, showed footage there, and synopsises on that. They talked about other movies they have planned, like Abigail is coming out. They're talking about that and everything. So yeah, they did fine. They did good. They showed footage, extended footage, and a trailer for Wicked. The same with Despicable Me 4. Twisters, same thing. They even noted that the people, when they were filming the movie, actually went out and captured real footage, or at least was able to capture some real footage of actual Twister storms and everything to make it feel authentic and realistic. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, you know, they did an all right job. Again, it's one of those presentations that people felt was a little disappointing, not too bad, just a little disappointing. You know, could have been better and everything. But they didn't live up to that, apparently. You know, they didn't live up to that. But they said it could have been better. But yeah, it's actually, it was, from what I'm understanding, it was actually an all right panel. I mean, I'll give them credit for, you know, decking out the theater, you know, in the Wicked theme to really promote that, hey, you may have to wait to the end of the year, but this is going to be our big blockbuster. This is going to be the one that is going to get that nomination for Academy Award next year. So, yeah, definitely, you know, from what I'm hearing and from what others have said, you know, Universal did all right. They did fine. Wasn't the best presentation. I think next year they might do better because, you know, you want to get over the hump and everything of things that happened last year. I mean, let's not forget, we had a strike last year, guys. So a lot of what you're seeing here from certain studios that had things planned out in advance, but had to put them on, you know, hold because of the strikes. you gotta be patient with them, because a lot of that changed their plans, especially when it came to CinemaCon and the like. But yeah, Universal, they did fine, and I'm one thing that I will say this. Movies I'm looking forward to from them is Twisters. I want to see their take on it. And also, I'm looking forward to Wicked. Believe it or not, I do want to see how they bring that to the big screen and everything and all that. So I'll give them that. And really, that's all I could say on it. But let me know what your thoughts are on Universal's presentation at CinemaCon this year. All right, last but not least, let's talk about Warner Brothers, presence over at CinemaCon this year. They actually started the CinemaCon week out. They check something here for a second, guys. Okay. They started the CinemaCon week out. I thought they did a decent job. I thought, what they gave us was good from what I'm hearing, from what people have said. What could have been the best? No. Not no. What I'm trying to say is, could have been. I'm just checking. My mom's going to be home in just a little bit, guys, so I do apologize for the distraction. But could have been better? Yes. Could have been the best? Yes. They're part of the big three, if you will, Disney, Universal, and Warner Brothers. Because the other studio, the other major studio, Sony, Columbia Pictures, pulled out. They didn't want to have nothing to do with CinemaCon this year. I'm assuming because the projects they want to present, they felt maybe weren't ready, for CinemaCon. Or maybe they want to wait for San Diego Comic-Con. That's what I'm assuming. But anyway, to get back on point here. Warner Brothers, beginning of the week, they were decent. They showed a trailer and I think some footage for Joker 2 or Joker Felix Duix. It's a French word for two, if you will. Or a French word for Joker Part 2. That's what it is. But yeah, they showed the trailer, which became public and everything, as well as extended footage for Joker 2. That looks good. I definitely feel like it's going to be very, very La La Land, very Rhapsody visually, if you will, between them. So it definitely looks like it's going to get a Best Picture nomination there too. So that looks great. That's awesome. They showed Furiosa, the Mad Max film. I think it's a sequel or a prequel. I'm not really sure. But from what was described there, they were shown not only the trailer, but some footage. So definitely looking forward to that when it comes out. I'm looking forward to that when it comes out. I have the Mad Max Fury Road and the other Mad Max films, including the one with Tina Turner. So I'm looking forward to that. They did show the trailer and footage for Beetlejuice. And basically they showed footage that involved a lot of practical effects, stop motion, claymation, and everything. They had the Lydia character played by Winona Ryder. From what I'm understanding, the scene they showed there during the presentation was she's in a white outfit and everything, but then it also turns into clay. It's like the scene she's involved in becomes claymation like I don't know if it means she becomes claymation or something. They talked about how Michael Keaton's character Beetlejuice opens up his shirt, his chest, and all these heads pop out, or snakes pop out, or something. So obviously they enjoyed what they saw there, and they thought the practical visuals of not CGI but practical effects was good. Obviously there's going to be some CGI in there, not much, but because it's going to be more reliant on practical effects and everything, claymation, stop motion. So they enjoyed that, they appreciated that, and I grew up on the original Beetlejuice. I was 9 years old, almost going on 9 years old when the first one came out. So now going on 45, it's like, long time coming, but I guess it's going to be worth it. And we're going back to what, helped bring the original to the dance. They did talk about Superman They have a documentary on him called Superman. It's going to be based on Christopher Reeve. People describe the trailer for that as a tearjerker because it's going to talk about, his career and afterwards. So yeah, those are non-fiction films. Let's see. They're basically describing it as something that's, riveting, crowd pleaser that propelled other non-fiction films like Mr. Rogers inspired Won't You Be My Neighbor, RBG, and Three Identical Strangers for a documentary to box office heights. They did talk about Mickey 17 that has Robert Pattinson in there, or Robert Pattinson in there, who plays Batman in the Batman series. Basically, it's described here as a dystopian thriller that he's in called Mickey 17, but it's also described somewhat as a romp comedy too, because basically it's very psychedelic, where he's sent on a mission to die, and then when he dies, a new clone comes around. They described it to where, like, there's a couple of scenes where his character, like, one scene gets chopped up and everything, and another one where he gets eaten whole and everything. So yeah, it feels like it's going to be an interest. It's going to be basically a thriller, dystopian thriller comedy, from what I'm understanding. They did get a message from James Gunn, who is currently filming Superman Legacy in Atlanta right now. And he didn't show no footage, but I guarantee you if there's any footage to be shown, it will be at San Diego Comic-Con this year. But yeah, that's all they really showed on the Warner Brothers side of things to, start the week off at CinemaCon. And really, I'm looking forward to a lot of it. I'm looking forward to what, has been described with the Joker film, Twisters, Furiosa looks good. So looking forward to a lot of that. The Mickey 17 one, which got pushed out to the beginning of next year, like I said, it's been described, depending on who you listen to, who you believe, it's being described as a dystopian thriller according to Variety, but others being described as sort of a, comedy, sort of a comedy set in the future as well. So like a dystopian thriller comedy, I'm guessing. But anyway, that's about it. Can't really say any more than that. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on some of the information for CinemaCon, and I am out. So overall with CinemaCon, I think each studio that was there pretty much, I guess you could say, threw their name into the hat for future Best Picture nominations going into 2025 and 2026. I mean, when you look at Warner Brothers, they have probably the one that stands out the most being Joker Part 2, because that's pretty much what it's called. But yeah, they got that pretty much locked in for an Academy Award nomination. Lionsgate is pretty much betting everything on 2026, Academy Award nomination. And these are for Best Picture, by the way. And, for them, 2026 Best Picture nomination is going to be Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic. Because 2025 is going to have Joker Part 2 as one of them. And then for 2026, Lionsgate is going to be like in the lead, category-wise, Best Picture-wise, when it comes to the presentation with Michael. And, in Disney, Disney, you can't leave them out either. If you will, you can't leave them out either. Because when you look at Disney's, I try to find the article I had earlier. It should be here. Maybe not. Maybe they took it out. I don't know. Here we are. Here we are. So, with Disney, they're going to have a nomination probably with Mufasa. Mufasa's probably going to get either an animated nomination, or a Best Picture nomination. Either it's animated Best Picture or live action Best Picture. They will get a Best Picture nomination animation-wise with Inside Out and Moana 2, mostly Inside Out. But Best Picture nomination-wise, I think it's going to go for Mufasa, the Lion King. I think that's what's going to be be what comes, their way. And then, like I said, Michael is going to be basically the film that, gives Lionsgate the 2026 nomination for Best Picture. Well, like I said, you got Mufasa, and for Disney, and you got Joker Part Two, for Warner Brothers, and then Paramount. You can't leave them out. Paramount, I think, is going to get Gladiator 2 nominated based on what they're presenting, and they might, animated wise, might get Transformers 1 nominated as well, for Best Animated Picture, that is. So Best Animated Picture nomination, Transformers 1. Best Picture nomination for Paramount would be Gladiator 2. Oh, and going back to Disney, because they are under the Disney banner, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I think, is going to get a Best Picture nomination too. So Disney has two movies in the running for Best Picture going into 2025, awards season, at the Academy Awards. And we're looking at Mufasa, The Lion King, and I think Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes as two of their Best Picture nominees, or at least the hopes, for potential Best Picture nominees next year. Well, Inside Out and even Mufasa will probably be in line for Best Animated Picture nominations. And then, like I said, Paramount, they're not going to get left out. They're going to get Gladiator 2 in there as a Best Picture nomination, and Transformers 1 for Best Animated Picture nomination. And then Lionsgate, they're building up more for 2026, and they might get it with Michael. There is a good chance they could get it with Ballerina, the John Wick spinoff, but more likely they're going to be more focused on getting that 2026 nomination with the movie like Michael and everything. And in Universal, I think they got their nomination for Best Picture locked up with Wicked. So Wicked's going to get their nomination as well. So I think, Wicked is pretty much a lockup for them, and Despicable Me 4 is going to be a lockup for Best Animated Picture nomination. And then that's about it. Furiosa might also get a Best Picture nomination for Warner Brothers as well. So if we look at it from this perspective, Joker Part 2, and Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, I think are Warner Brothers' best chances at Best Picture nominations for 2025. And then Universal's got Wicked for Best Picture nomination and Despicable Me for Best Animated Picture nomination. And then Paramount, I think they're going to get Gladiator 2 for a Best Picture nomination, and Transformers 1 for a Best Animated Picture nomination. And then Lionsgate's, I think, like I said, they're focusing more on 2026's award season. So I think because they're focusing on that, Michael is going to be a Best Picture nomination for 2026. But if they do get something for 2025's award season for this year, it would be Ballerina. I've got that feeling that you're looking at that. You're looking at it from that perspective, I'm trying to say. And then, like I said, you got Mufasa, The Lion King, and Inside Out, which I think will be nominations for Best Animated Picture. And Mufasa might also get the Best Picture nomination as well, along with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes as well to go along with that. And also they do have another movie they got coming out. They call it The Woman in the Kingdom of the Sea, I think. I think that's what they got. They got A Woman in the Kingdom of the Sea. I think that's what they have also. They also showed that. It's the true story of the woman that swam across the Atlantic or something. Let's see. Disney. Let's see. Yeah, Young Woman in the Sea, which is based on the true story of the lady that swam across the Atlantic, if you will, and everything, or something like that. So you're looking at The Young Woman in the Sea, Mufasa, and What was the other one I said? What was the other one? Just totally blanked out there. Oh yeah, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So you're looking at Young Woman in the Sea, Mufasa, and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes as Disney's nominees for Best Picture this year. So the way I look at it, like I said, Furiosa and Joker Part 2 for Warner Brothers, Gladiator 2 for Paramount, Wicked for Universal, Ballerina maybe for Lionsgate, but more likely Michael for the 2026 year. And then Disney is going to have Mufasa, is going to have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Young Woman in the Sea. And then animation-wise, Disney's going to have Inside Out, Mufasa. Paramount's going to have Transformers 1. Universal's going to have Despicable Me 4. And that should be about it in that category, along with some other films coming internationally and independently. But those are the movies that I see based off, everybody's, thoughts on them and everything at CinemaCon from what they saw and what we're going to be seeing soon, probably around the time San Diego ComicCon comes around. Those are my thoughts on the films, the movies, animated and live action that I believe, are definitely already being talked about for potential, Best Picture and Best Animated Picture nominations for the 2025 Academy Award season and the 2026 Academy Award season when it comes to Michael. But let me know what your thoughts are. Do you agree with me on that, guys? Comment below. And until then, I am out.